In the previous video we set up our timers. So we needed a single timer with a 3-second delay, and we triggered that timer using a variable called timer1 input. And we also set up our counters. So counter 1, we need one counter. It needs to count to 4. It is triggered by counter 1 input, a variable which we created, and it's reset by the start button. So in this video we're going to set up a start-stop sequence, and we're going to do that in structured text. Now if we look at the activity says if the momentary start button is pressed and the momentary stop button is not pressed, then cylinder ray should extend. So these are momentary switches. The start button and the stop button will only be active for the instant that they're being pressed. So I have got to find a way of knowing whether the sequence should be running or not. And to do that, what I'm going to do is use an if statement. So if is a keyword in structured text. You can see when you type if in capital letters it goes blue, or I could also press F2 and look at all the keywords, and in there you will find if. So this is an if statement, and what an if statement does is it allows you, the programmer, to check some variables and see what condition they're in. Are they true or not? And if those variables are true or in the condition that you want them to be, then you can ask the program to do other things. So what I'm going to do is if, and go and find my global variable start button. So if the start button is pressed, then another keyword. What I want to do is set my run auxiliary. So I created a run auxiliary, press F2. A run auxiliary should go true. Now you will see in future videos what that means, but what I will do then when I'm writing the sequence program, I will always check if the run auxiliary is true. Because if the run auxiliary is true, then the start button has been pressed and the stop button hasn't. So make sure that your syntax is correct when you're writing this. So your variable runaux, and after that you should have a colon, then equal sign, and you're then setting the value of the runaux true, and you finish that line with a semicolon. And so that means if the start button is pressed, then runaux will be true. Then we can always use another keyword, else if. You can see it goes blue as well, and again you could press F2 and call else if. And I'm going to check the stop button this time. So if the stop is pressed, then run aux equals false. So if the stop button is pressed, run aux will equal true. Else if the if the start button is pressed, then run aux equals true. Else if the stop button is pressed, then the run aux will equal false. And if you write an if or an else if, you must finish with an end if. And that is, I know I may have to come back to that piece of programming later whenever we've written our sequence and add a few more details, but at the minute that is a little start-stop program in structured text. So now if the momentary button start is pressed, the run auxiliary will be true, and if the momentary stop button is pressed, then the run auxiliary will be false. And you'll see in future videos how we use that runaux to make the system operate.